Hey there, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ethan. For those of you who do know me, anyways, today I want to talk about another form of distraction, right? We've been talking a little bit more recently about finding healthy outlets. So I guess maybe now I want to discuss finding healthy distractions, right? On this journey of self-improvement and whatnot, it becomes tempting to try to find ways to distract yourself from what you're thinking or feeling, as opposed to actually seeking, actively seeking solutions 24/7. And I understand that. I get that because I've been there too. It's kind of, it's not necessarily sustainable to be just actively seeking solutions all the time. Yeah, so sometimes you do need a little bit of a distraction, and that's very fair, that's valid. I'm not going to argue the validity of that. The only thing that I will say is that maybe it would be beneficial to be a little bit more conscious of how you're distracting yourself. Every once in a while, watching a show, watching a movie, maybe doom scrolling through TikTok or Instagram for a little bit isn't so terrible. But for the most part, I feel as though we should be seeking ways to be a little bit more productive in our distractions as well. There are ways to be productive while distracting yourself still. And a lot of people don't seem to give themselves the grace to explore those options before they just resort to something a little bit less productive, like partying or watching endless TikToks until they pass out. Excuse me. So I would suggest that in those cases, maybe take a second to take a few deep breaths. Clear your head. And then maybe allow yourself to sit down and just genuinely indulge in something that might be a little bit more of a productive use of your time while still distracting yourself, such as a book. I have a couple of books that I am currently reading in order to do just that, in those days where I don't necessarily want to be incredibly productive, but I don't want to be incredibly unproductive either while distracting myself. I'm not ashamed to say I'm reading I'm reading ACOTAR. I'm also reading a great book by C.S. Lewis called Mere Christianity. It's a great read. Anyone who has any interest in the topic overall of religion would benefit greatly from reading that book, I believe. It is the same author that wrote Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia, and it's very insightful. He offers a perspective into religion as a whole. Even though the book is called Mere Christianity, it's not necessarily pigeonholed, and he clarifies that in like the first page of the book. I don't really need to explain it, but he does go very in depth into what I claim myself, that it's better if you believe in something as opposed to believing in nothing. And the book isn't necessarily a way to try to convince anyone to believe in any one particular religion or religious belief. It's more so just a call to action, I suppose, about belief in general. And it's a fairly good read. I would recommend it highly to anyone, at least who is even just vaguely interested in the topic of religion or belief systems. ACOTAR, it's a little bit less productive than that, but even then, you're reading, right? You're engaging your brain. You're training your brain to do something other than just stare at a screen all day. It's a lot more tranquil, relaxing. I find that after reading a few chapters, I'm about ready to pass out. And I think that's a good place to be, honestly, especially for someone like myself who often struggles with sleeping, you know? So that's always an option, reading, perhaps even doing some learning, you know? When you're trying to become a little bit more intelligent, it definitely is beneficial to distract yourself with other forms of learning as well. Teach yourself some light programming, learn how to use C++, learn how to use Python, whatever, or maybe indulge yourself in learning another language. Picking up languages is a great way to help yourself become more intelligent. Or, do something that I probably should do but don't do, and practice some math, study times tables. I don't know, pick up calculus. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. It's up to you. But as long as you're being productive in your distractions, right? That's kind of the end goal. And there are ways to also maybe mesh those less productive, so to speak, ways of distraction with your more productive ways of distraction. As I'm sure many people are aware, there are countless YouTubers on this site who do teach a variety of different topics. Honestly, you could learn anything from programming to engineering to how to wash your car properly. Like, anything and everything you could think of is available, and you could indulge yourself in that, just as long as you're engaging that part of your brain, just being more productive while being unproductive. It's a good way to allow yourself to feel good while still being unproductive. And I guess in this sense, it's maybe tricking yourself so that you feel as though you're still on your journey of self-improvement, self-betterment, whatever, what have you. But it's not really a trick, because you're still progressing. Of course, eventually there will be a day where you won't need to do those things anymore. But you're still on your journey. Who are you to deny yourself of your own journey? Just figure out what works for you, what you feel is sustainable, because I feel like that's the biggest issue as well, is that no one really goes for things that are sustainable. And then when they fall off the wagon, a week or two in, and they're like, oh, I just can't do it, it's not for me. It's because you didn't choose something that was sustainable. And the same thing goes for fitness. Choose something sustainable. I don't know why everyone always goes and does things that other people tell them to do, and then they quit and then start talking about how, working out isn't for me, cardio isn't for me. It's like, no, you just didn't go with something that was sustainable for you. You need to go and find something that you feel as though you can actually sustain. Choose something that if you had to do this for the rest of your life, you feel like you would be able to without a problem. And that's kind of where it goes. And also, don't be afraid to allow yourself to detach yourself from something if you feel like it genuinely isn't for you. I know a lot of people who start books and then they feel as though they have to continue reading the book all the way to the end because of the fact that they started the book. It's a trend now called DNF, where people are just getting into this space of, oh, I'm finally allowing myself to not finish books. I've always been like that. I've always been the type of person that if I didn't like a book, no matter if I was a quarter of a way through it, halfway through it, 75% of the way through it, if I decided I wasn't into it anymore, I could put it down and not pick it back up again. I have no issue with that. But I guess that's kind of another issue that some people tend or seem to have. So I would just say, you know, if you feel as though something is genuinely not for you, don't be afraid also to just step away from it and admit that it's not for you. It is what it is. It happens. You're not any less of a person for that. Anyways, that's probably all for now. My first podcast episode with my co-host should be dropping sometime either today or tomorrow, somewhere around there. So be on the lookout for that. And if you ever need to talk, if you need someone to listen, if you're going through some good things, going through some bad things, I'm always available to chat 24/7, 365, and via any of the social media links in my description below. Because you are not alone. You're never alone. Yeah. Sorry, I just got off work. My brain is a little fried. But if no one told you today, I'm proud of you. I love you. Keep going. You got this. Yeah. So, until next time. See you later.